Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to discuss the 4 different types of annual pass, the benefits, perks of each one of them, and try to help you decide which one might benefit you the most. So before we dive into today's video, we just wanted to sort of preface it by saying we aren't locals. We travel in from a different state. So our experiences and our perspective on all the annual passes is going to be different from that of a local potentially.
Right, absolutely. So, while we're going to give some really good tips and tricks at the end of this video that are relevant to everybody, the ways that we have found value in our annual pass are going to be different than somebody that actually lives like within driving distance to the parks. So just keep that in mind while you're watching.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're looking at annual passes on Universal's website, which we will link in the description below, there are 2 types of annual pass that you can buy. You can buy a 2-park annual pass, which would be Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure, or you could buy a 3-park pass that would include Volcano Bay. We have the 2-park pass. That was just what made sense to us as people traveling in. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. So we have 4 levels of annual pass. They are the seasonal pass, the power pass, the preferred pass, and the premier pass, and they range in price from $270 to $510.
Yeah. Something to keep in mind is that purchasing an annual pass can actually sometimes save you money versus buying multi-day tickets. If you're staying more than a couple of days, a lot of times it's just a better deal. We actually discussed this in a previous video, so we'll put a link to that in the description down below.
Okay, so one of the most important things to consider when you're looking at which annual pass you want to buy is blockout dates. So blockout dates are days that your annual pass will not get you into the park. So when you're looking at the differences in the passes, the lower 2 tiers have blockout dates. The seasonal pass has the most, the power pass has slightly fewer, and then the higher 2 tiers of the annual passes have 0 blockout dates. So you want to look at that and make sure that these blockout dates do not coincide with days that you're planning to come to the park and use your annual pass.
One of the biggest decisions that you have to make before traveling to Universal is whether or not you're going to want express passes for your stay.
Right, absolutely. So when you're looking at the annual passes, there's only one annual pass that includes any type of express, and that is the Premier Annual Pass. But there's some limitations to it. So the way that it works is you only get 1 express pass per ride per day, and you can only use that express pass after 4 p.m.
Yes.
So the next benefit that some of the passes come with is parking.
Yeah, so you get free parking with the preferred and the premier passes, and I think you get 50% off of parking with the power pass.
Right.
However, there's no discount or anything like that with the seasonal pass. And actually with the premier pass, you actually get free value parking, which is great if you're not staying on site.
Right.
One of the other benefits that can come with some of the passes is actually early park admission.
Right, so the Premier Pass comes with early park admission every day of the year, and the Preferred Pass does come with early park admission, but there are blockout dates for that as well.
Yeah, the bottom 2 tiers don't have any kind of early admission.
Right.
However, if you're staying on property anywhere, you get early admission. It doesn't matter which hotel that you're staying in. One of the biggest perks of purchasing an annual pass is that, like the Premier and the Preferred, you actually get discounts on merchandise, food, everything inside the park, aside from like a few of the little cart areas. Also, you get those same discounts outside the park at City Walk.
Right.
I think with the Premier Pass, it's 15% off of all those purchases. And then with the Preferred Pass, it's 10% off of all those purchases. The lower 2 tiers, once again, they don't offer any kind of discount on food or beverage purchases inside or outside the park.
The discount that you get on food merchandise can really change the cost of your trip. And also looking at the difference between the Premier and the Preferred, that can make a difference in which pass you want to purchase as well. Another really great perk that can make it worth your while to purchase an annual pass is the discounts that you get on the on-site hotels. So these perks come with all of the passes, and there's no difference in the percentage that you get off or anything like that. So all 4 levels come with this discount.
That's going to be part of sort of our tips and tricks later. We'll explain how we would do things and how you can save a lot of money. Another thing that actually went into us purchasing the Premier annual pass was the fact that you get 1 free night admission into Halloween Horror Nights. While there are some limitations to this, like I believe most of the time it's only on like a Wednesday, Thursday. And I think sometimes they let you in on Sunday nights with it. It's a big perk considering those tickets normally are like $84 a night, I believe, is where they start out at.
So another really great perk to the annual passes is that you can get discounted tickets to special events. So things that like Halloween Horror Nights or the Eve Party that you have to buy like a separate ticket to get into. As an annual pass holder, you will get a discount on this, and this goes for all 4 levels of the annual pass. Another thing that you can also buy just park admission tickets for someone else at a discounted rate. There's a limit on how many per day. I think it's like 6 per day. But so like say you've got friends or family in town that you want to take to the park, you could get them like single day tickets at a discounted rate.
Yeah, and something to keep in mind with that, I believe for that, you have to call to purchase the tickets. You have to call and actually talk to a representative, or you have to purchase them at the gate the day of.
Right.
So if you're enjoying the video so far, or if you think you're getting some value out of it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So those were just some of the benefits that you actually get with each tier of annual pass. We ended up choosing to go with the Premier annual pass. And so I guess now we're just going to discuss why we think it was a mistake on our part as travelers.
Right, so the 2 main reasons that we decided to go with the Premier annual pass is because of the free Halloween Horror Nights tickets that you get, as well as the Express Pass after 4. So those are 2 things that we thought were going to be really, really valuable to us, but it turned out that we weren't really able to use them in the way that we thought.
When we first went down and decided to purchase annual passes, we weren't staying on property. We stayed off property, so we wanted the Express Pass after 4. Mm-hmm. That turned out to be a mistake.
Yeah, it was really kind of difficult to use the Express Pass after 4.
Yeah.
Sometimes the parks closed a lot earlier than you would expect.
Yeah,
and
like
so,
6 o'clock.
Yeah, and so if it closes at 6 and you can't use your Express till 4, then you don't get much value out of it. So what we've kind of found that works as far as Express for us is that we tend to stay at one of the 3 top tier hotels that come with the unlimited Express.
Yeah.
So when we're staying at one of those hotels, we definitely don't need the double Express.
So there's actually like a pretty big price difference between the Preferred annual pass and the Premier annual pass. A lot of the benefits and perks that you get by upgrading there, they could potentially be worth it. But for us, as people who travel to the parks from a different state, we realized it didn't necessarily benefit us.
Right, there were a lot of the perks we didn't use, like for example, the free valet parking and the free self parking. We fly there. We don't rent a car. We stay on property. So we take an Uber, from the airport to our hotel, and then we're either within, walking distance or the boat taxi.
We don't stay anywhere other than the Premier hotels, which are the ones where you get the unlimited Express Pass. So the $150 difference that actually exists between the Preferred and the Premier Pass isn't worth it for that benefit alone.
So another benefit that we thought was going to be great, but we really didn't get any use out of, is the one free Halloween Horror Nights ticket. So this played a huge role in us deciding to get the Premier Annual Pass, but when we started looking to book our trip, it was difficult to book it around one free day.
Yeah, we actually ended up not using the free pass at all because we ended up buying the frequent fear pass plus express for the Halloween Horror Nights stuff. So that was another one of those perks that just didn't benefit us at all. Another benefit that came with the Premier Pass is early park admission. Like I've stated before, we are always staying on property at this point, and we think that that's almost you should stay on property.
Yeah.
It just makes the trip a lot more enjoyable. And if you stay anywhere on property, you get that early park admission. So that's another perk that you're paying for that as travelers you won't necessarily use. And one of the things we had to sit down and actually crunch numbers on was the difference in discount inside and outside the park on merchandise and food. With the Premier Pass, like we said, you get 15%, and with the Preferred Pass, you get 10%. But after we sat down and looked at numbers, that extra 5% doesn't really make that much of a difference. We sort of calculated that we'd have to spend $3,000 in the park just on food and merchandise over the course of a year, and we just don't normally do that.
Yeah, that's a lot of butterbeer.
Which isn't a bad thing. After looking at it, I think we determined that it almost always saves you money for someone in your party to purchase an annual pass of some form simply because of the discounts that you get on the hotel rooms. It's up to 30%, I believe, on some of the hotels.
We have decided to downgrade from the Premier Pass to the Preferred Pass this year. And so if you're like us and are travelers, that's what we suggest because that's where we think the best value for your money is.
One of the things to keep in mind when purchasing annual passes and tickets is not everyone has to have the same annual pass. What we suggest is that at least one person in your party buys the Preferred Annual Pass.
Right.
That way you can get all those discounts.
Okay, so another good benefit with just one person having a higher tiered annual pass is that some of the lower tiered passes don't get the early park admission if for some reason you weren't staying on site. If one person in your group has a pass that gets them early park admission, they'll let everyone in your group in.
Oh, will they?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. All right, guys, so that's our experience with our annual passes and kind of our plan for what we're going to do in the future and where we see value with some of the different perks.
So, like we said at the beginning of the video, these recommendations are for people who travel in like us. So, we personally think that the best option there is for people who are not locals is the Preferred Annual Pass.
The blackout dates kind of make the first two passes difficult to use, especially if you're hoping to take multiple trips.
Yeah.
And there's a huge jump in price between the Preferred and the Premier, and from what we've seen and the numbers that we've looked at, it just doesn't really make it worth it to get the top tier.
Yeah, I mean, if you are always planning to stay on property, maybe you don't go to Halloween Horror Nights. Mistake. But maybe you just don't do that. There's not really any other benefits that are on that pass that make it worth the difference.
Unless, you're local and are there quite frequently or can kind of go in the afternoon on days where the park is open longer, it's really hard to make that express after 4 p.m. worth the value. Yeah. If you enjoyed this video and if this helped you make your decision about what annual pass is going to give you the most value, go ahead, give us a thumbs up, and you can hit that subscribe button as well.
Thanks for watching.